Egypt has spent an estimated $58 billion building an entirely new capital city from scratch in the middle of the desert. This is one of the most ambitious urban projects of the 21st century. The new administrative capital is designed to eventually house between 6 and 7 million people. It features Africa's tallest skyscraper, a central park longer than New York's Central Park, a brand new parliament complex, dozens of government ministries, universities, hospitals, and vast modern residential districts. Yet despite this enormous investment and years of rapid construction, the city remains strikingly empty. Only a small fraction of the planned population actually lives there. During the day, some government areas show signs of life. At night, many districts fall quiet, with thousands of completed apartments standing dark and unoccupied. This is the central paradox of modern Egypt, a country that has poured tens of billions of dollars into a futuristic new capital to solve Cairo's severe overcrowding, while the vast majority of this new city still feels largely uninhabited. How does a nation spend $58 billion building a capital for millions of people, and end up with a city that still feels like it is waiting for its residents to arrive? To truly understand this story, we have to go back to the moment Egypt decided that the solution to its biggest urban problems was to build an entirely new capital city in the desert. Greater Cairo is one of the largest megacities on Earth, home to more than 22 million people. The city suffers from extreme overcrowding, some of the worst traffic congestion in the world, chronic air pollution, and aging infrastructure that struggles to keep up with the population. In 2015, President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi announced an audacious plan: construct a completely new capital city roughly 45 kilometers east of Cairo, deep in the desert. The new administrative capital, NAC, now often simply called the New Capital, was presented as the ultimate solution. It would relieve pressure on Old Cairo by relocating the entire government, attract international investment, create new jobs, and eventually become a modern, smart, green city for millions of Egyptians. The projected cost, $58 billion and rising. The scale is breathtaking. The first phase alone covers 168 square kilometers. The full master plan stretches across more than 700 square kilometers, making it larger than Singapore. It includes a monumental government district, a central business district with Africa's tallest tower, the iconic tower at 394 meters, luxury residential compounds, medical cities, universities, an opera house, and one of the largest urban parks ever planned. Yet years into construction, the human reality is very different from the architectural renders. While government buildings have been completed and some ministries have moved in, the residential population remains very low. Independent estimates suggest somewhere between 50,000 and 300,000 people may be living there, still a tiny fraction of the intended population. This is not a total ghost city like some Chinese examples, but it is far from the vibrant, living metropolis that was promised. This mismatch between ambition and reality raises important questions about whether grand, top-down megaprojects can successfully create thriving cities from scratch. The idea of building a new capital was not entirely new in Egypt. Throughout history, rulers have moved capitals to symbolize power and fresh beginnings. But this project was born primarily from urgent modern problems. Cairo's population explosion had pushed the city to breaking point. Traffic jams lasting hours, severe pollution, and overstretched services became daily realities for millions. In 2015, the Egyptian government formally launched the project. Construction began accelerating around 2016 to 2017. The Administrative Capital for Urban Development Company, ACUD, was created to oversee it, with significant involvement from the Egyptian Armed Forces Engineering Authority and international partners, especially Chinese construction firms. The vision was bold and comprehensive: a smart city with advanced digital infrastructure, sustainable energy, wide green spaces, and world-class facilities. It was marketed not just as a new administrative center, but as Egypt's window to the future, a symbol of national revival under President Sisi. Hundreds of thousands of government employees were expected to relocate. Foreign embassies were invited to move. International companies were offered incentives to set up operations there. The project quickly became one of the largest and most visible infrastructure efforts in Africa. Let's take a detailed tour of what has actually been built so far. The government district is by far the most developed and active part of the city. Dozens of ministries have already relocated into sleek new buildings. The new Egyptian Parliament complex is operational, and the enormous Octagon building, the new headquarters for the Defense Ministry, stands as one of the most striking structures in the entire project. The central business district features the iconic tower, currently the tallest building in Africa at nearly 394 meters. Surrounding it are dozens of modern skyscrapers, many of which are structurally complete but still waiting for full occupancy. One of the most visually impressive features is the Green River Park, a 35-kilometer-long series of connected parks and waterways designed to evoke the Nile River. When fully realized, it will be one of the largest urban green spaces anywhere in the world. Luxury residential compounds with modern villas and high-rise apartments have been completed in several phases. Some of these areas have begun attracting wealthier Egyptians and foreign expatriates. However, many other completed apartment buildings remain dark at night, their balconies empty. The wide boulevards, some up to 12 lanes, are beautifully paved and lined with streetlights, but often see surprisingly little traffic. Shopping malls and commercial centers have opened, yet they lack the bustling crowds you would expect in a major city. Vast residential districts planned for hundreds of thousands of people are still largely empty desert or in various stages of construction. Schools, hospitals, and local markets that normally bring life to neighborhoods are still limited in number. During working hours, the government district has visible activity. But as evening falls, large parts of the city become quiet, giving it an almost surreal, planned but uninhabited feeling. The project is a classic example of strong centralized state planning. The Egyptian government, backed by military support, decided that the best way to solve Cairo's problems was to build a new city rather than attempt to fix the old one. Funding has come from a combination of government budgets, sales of land and housing units, and partnerships with foreign investors. The military has played a major role in both construction management and providing security for the new city. The underlying logic was clear. If you build modern infrastructure, luxurious housing, and move the seat of government there, businesses and citizens will naturally follow. However, several challenges have slowed this process. Housing in the new capital is significantly more expensive than in many parts of Cairo. Many middle-class Egyptians cannot easily afford to move. Job opportunities outside of government work are still developing. People are also deeply attached to the social networks, schools, and communities they have built over decades in Cairo. The system made perfect sense from a top-down planning perspective. The human, economic, and social realities have proven far more complex. Today, the new capital is a partial success story. Many government ministries have successfully relocated. Some major banks and companies have followed. The iconic tower stands proudly as a symbol of Egypt's ambitions. However, full residential occupancy remains low. Economic pressures, high living costs, and the natural reluctance of families to uproot their lives have slowed migration dramatically. Phase 2 development has faced delays due to funding and broader economic challenges facing Egypt. This is not a total failure. The city is functioning as Egypt's new administrative heart, but as a vibrant, self-sustaining metropolis for millions of ordinary citizens, that vision is still many years away. Here is the uncomfortable truth. It is much easier for governments to build impressive buildings, wide avenues, and tall towers than it is to create genuine communities and organic city life. Some districts are slowly growing, but turning a top-down planned city into a thriving, living metropolis is one of the most difficult challenges in urban development. Egypt continues to invest and push the project forward. The new capital's story is still being written. So here is the question with no easy answer. Can a government successfully build a vibrant new capital from scratch in the desert through sheer determination and investment, or are such grand projects destined to remain impressive but only partially lived symbols of national ambition? What do you think? Will Egypt's new capital eventually become a thriving metropolis, or will large parts of it remain empty for decades? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. If you enjoy deep, detailed megaproject analysis, please subscribe and turn on notifications for more. Megabuild 24, understanding the projects that shape our world.